Happy Friday, everybody. It's always Friday. Thank you for taking time out of your day and your time here at the conference to listen to us nerd out a little bit about branding. My name is Stella Morrison. This is Laura Hand, and we're gonna get into it for the next 30 minutes. Before we start, I want to get a sense of where everybody is at in their current state of exploring their own brand identity or creating a brand or retail space, whatever that looks like. So, quick show of hands, how many people are considering or are starting like a retail brand, like a product, personal brand, anything like that? Quick show of hands. Who's thinking about it? Awesome. How many people are doing this for the first time? Amazing. And how many people either already are in the cannabis industry in some form or kind of thinking about coming? Yes, I love it. Beautiful. So, no matter where you are in this entrepreneurial journey, there are a lot of fundamentals that are not going to change, no matter what stage you're at, no matter where you're going for. And we could talk about branding and marketing for weeks on end. You do not sign up for weeks on end, so we condense this to the fundamentals as much as possible. And we basically want to have you leave this room understanding, well, what do I need to think about and what do I need to be doing in order to be successful when I launch 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, let's hope not 18 months down the line, whatever that looks like. So it all starts with one essential question. Why would a customer come to you? Why your dispensary and not the dispensary down the block? Why your beverage and not the other brand's beverage on the shelf? And that all comes down to the brand that you're going to be creating. And we're going to talk about two different but interrelated components of that today. The first is going to be your actual brand identity and building that and what that looks like. And we're going to talk about your personal brand as well, meaning who you are as a founder, as a leader, as a person in this industry. So we're going to blend both together, and here we go. Why are we talking about this now when you have applications to fill out, when you have other partners you need to hire, when you need to go out and get money? Why are we focusing on the brand right now? There's this misconception that you can wait to develop this brand. You shouldn't be waiting for that. And it's because it takes time. It takes a lot of time and effort to get recognized, to develop your reputation, and to earn, and I say earn very deliberately, earn authority in the cannabis space. So what you have right now, while you're working toward this goal of opening or launching or starting your services, whatever your goal is, you have the luxury I'll say loosely, but you have time right now, and you can use that time to your advantage, and that's what we really want to encourage you today to really work for. And now that Minnesota is starting to move along, today's the day to start, and every single one of you in this room started today because you came to Lucky Leaf. And we'll talk about why showing your face is important a little bit later in the presentation. But first, who the hell am I and why am I talking to you? My name is Stella Morrison. I have been active in the cannabis space with my agency CannaContent since 2017. Our specialty is in emerging markets, so we have been working with places, dispensaries, brands, personalities in states like New Jersey, New York, a lot of East Coast. My heart is very much here. I'm a recent Midwest transplant and very excited to be here. I have 20 years of experience in what I like to call the right brain kind of career. So my expertise is in search engine optimization, which dovetails with brand now, with the way Google and other search engines are going. So these conversations are very important from a digital marketing perspective. So this is where my perspective comes in, is not just developing a sound brand, but how you're actually going to get found online and how people are going to hear about you.
Thanks, Stella. My name is Laura Hand, and I have Laura Lou Experience Design. So I reside in Iowa and look like gloringly above up here in Minnesota to kind of find out what's going on and just wish that I was here. I have a lot of family, so I spend a lot of time here. So it's been great to come up to this market and just see all the possibility. And so I have my own agency. I'm a fractional chief marketing officer. So what I do is I help from the overall brand and marketing perspective, just to help people find out what that next step is and work with great agencies like Stella's on all the ongoing tactics. So, my background is all in the B2B service space, so understanding healthcare, finance, banking, all those type of regulatory places. So it was a really good kind of transition to cannabis and knowing that there's just a lot of creative constraints when it comes to trying to get your message out there, and it just allows you to take those opportunities to do something a little special and to realize that less is better. You don't have to be everywhere for everyone. And the other thing I'm really excited about is cannabis, travel, and tourism. And so I think the path to reducing the stigma is doing things that we already know. Everybody knows how to travel. Everybody enjoys going to different tourism, whether it's a campground, a resort, and so on. So why not take the opportunity to build up plant wellness experiences? And so I am a board member along with Mark Waller back there of the Cannabis Travel Association International. So it's great to be able to learn from what's happening around the world and bring that locally.
Quick run through what we're going to go through today. We're going to start with talking about the importance of your brand story and what that means beyond just selling your stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about building credibility through personal branding and developing your own niche of thought leadership. Key elements of your brand identity. What does this actually mean? It's not just a logo. That's a big hint for what we're going to be talking about a lot today. Pre-revenue marketing strategies. So what can you be doing now? What makes sense for you to invest now, right? There's not a lot of capital until you open or start selling or start bringing in clients. What makes the most sense from a foundational perspective for you to be doing now correctly to set you up for success in months or even a year plus down the line? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the tools that you'll need for this and the timeline of what you can expect. Brands are not built overnight, so we have a suggested timeline for this. And then a quick rundown of takeaways and next steps.
So beyond your logo, so a lot of times people think your brand is your brand identity, and it's really not. That's a part of it, that's a component. But what we want to talk about is the story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. Because with the constraints that we have with social media, we need to make sure that we are building community, which is why we are all here. And it's just important for them to give them the story that you want to be sharing with the potential customers that you're trying to serve. And so my background, I nerd out about customer experience design. So I think Chris Reed was speaking earlier, and I saw one slide on customer journey mapping. I'm like, yes. Like, it's not something that everybody knows about, and it's something that everybody should. And so in that customer journey, there's always the pre-sale, there's the sale, and then there's the post-sale. So in that pre-sale, when you are trying to develop who you're serving and why you're serving them, you have to know who you're trying to serve. Again, cannabis is so great because there's the opportunity to serve so many different types of people, but that is incredibly difficult to do when you are trying to come up with a marketing strategy. So you have to at least start with one type of customer that you're trying to serve. And then we often get so wrapped up in ourselves because we're so passionate about our service, our product, and our store that that's what we lead with, because we just feel that if we just talk about ourselves enough, people will love us. And really, we need to be thinking about the people that we are serving and that they're always the first in the forefront. So a couple of the tools that we use in the marketing and brand world is coming up with target personas. So this is an example, and there's so many out there. And it's well beyond demographics because, again, cannabis is a plant that can help so many, from being exercise with creativity, wellness, pain, sleep. So I'm going to use the example of Natalie and kind of use her throughout this presentation. So she is a stay-at-home mom. She is very interested in using cannabis because she wants to be just at home a mom that is a little bit more chill. She's got a lot of anxiety, a lot of things going on in her life. She can't go to a dispensary because she has a newborn at home. So her needs, challenges, desires are that she is curious, she wants to go to somewhere that is reputable, has good education, and she doesn't know what questions to ask, which is very hard because people do not want to seem stupid when they go into a store. So they don't know even where to start. So a lot of times they're going to be doing their research in advance online. So being able to build this persona, and I'll stress putting an actual picture on everything that you do, because when you are writing your messaging, developing your website, seeing somebody's picture helps you to empathize and be there with them. So it helps you align your goals with their goals and just know where are they online currently or what their actions are so that you can infuse that into your overall strategy. Another big part of customer experience design is coming up with your experience vision statement. So this is different than your mission statement. This is the impact that you're trying to make in somebody's life down the road. So wouldn't it be great if you are out and about and you hear from Natalie that she loved your store so much because it helped her in her journey. So this is a good kind of Mad Lib template. If we do a great job with X, we will help this target persona feel this. So in Natalie's example, if we do a great job at providing cannabis delivery service, we will help busy moms and homebound patients, so that's now 2 different target personas that you can market to, feel heard, catered to, and cared for with simple and friendly buying process. So doesn't that, it feels good, right? So if you are developing your messaging and your website, it now gives you something to talk about. It gives you what your feeling is and your overall personality, and it just gives you a great foundation to start from.
And this is where I'm going to take a right turn real quick, but they are related. So you're going to hear a lot about branding your company or product today, but I don't want you to forget about you. And there's a couple reasons this is really important, especially in cannabis. A lot of things are fluid right now. Your plans might change. You won't change. Maybe you'll work for a different company. Maybe you are going to try a different license type. Maybe you're going to pivot what your product or service is. But people know who you are, and that is something that's going to endure basically no matter where you go. So how many folks in here have left a salon because their hairstylist left and went somewhere else and you follow them? I have. All right, a few of you have. It's because you trusted and built rapport with that person, not because you're really attached to the salon, right? So that sort of, that's a really practical example of what building your own brand credibility is. And nobody is too big or too small to be building brand credibility. Anybody in this room can be doing it and should be doing it. So your personal brand involves all these parts that reinforce who you are, what you stand for, and how you're gonna make a difference in the world, right? So that's what you say and how you say it. So going back to Natalie's delivery service targeting Natalie, you're probably going to want to talk about in more compassionate terms in your messaging, right? Maybe this is something that you yourself carry yourself with, there's a kindness or a compassion that you bring to this. Maybe there's words like healing and guiding that you use instead of let's all go get lit, right? There's different word choices that all play into this. It's how you talk. It's your personality as well. How do you want people to talk about you when you're not in the room? To pull Laura's example back in. What does that look like? Does that mean you want people to be like, oh, he's no nonsense, or she's really funny, or they're just so caring and nice and we really want to, we just really want to work with them. It's putting that out there and deciding early on, what do you want to be? And you start setting that groundwork early because again, magic word of the day, time. These things take time. Leadership goals. Think about the kind of communities that you're working with. Community is a huge theme within cannabis industry. This is still a very in-person industry. People come to events. People come to conferences like Lucky Leaf. Told you I'd bring it back. The fact that you're here today is the start of that, right? You found it important enough to be in the room. You were in the room. And that is part of the personal brand building, whether or not you knew that, right? It was a choice that you came here for whatever reason that was. And this plays into who you want to be talking to and what communities you want to be a part of later on, right? So this might be being a community leader in Minneapolis or Minnesota. This might be women-owned leader, who was a lot of movement in the cannabis industry right now for women at the front. So something like that might be a goal for you to think about for your brand. And then there's this identifying traits. This is a small thing, a small tweak, but now that once I call it out, you might start noticing it from people. There's like a physical marker that people might use. This is something taken from the branding world that I'm going to talk about in a second, like a color or an object or a logo. The same way that everyone here knows the Nike swoosh without looking at it, maybe there's a physical thing that you want to carry with you. It's a small tip that would help people remember you, right? So people kind of be like, oh, you're the one with the big hair. That happens to me a lot. But there's a compliance expert named Sherry Tar who I work with who is. She has these like chains from an artist that she wears all the time, and that's her big. We're getting there, but that's her sign. There's a marketer named Alice Moon I can think of who wears pink all the time. These are the things that they do at other conference. Maybe that's glasses for you. Maybe there's something small there that you can help drive home. Like, hey, I remember that person. You're the one with the glasses. I remember you wore the branded logo on your shirt, right? So those are things that you can be start to think about and incorporate into your personal brand. But why does this matter, right? Why does it matter what you're wearing, how you're talking, who you're talking to? Why do we care? The first rule kind of comes back to that salon example that I talked about before. It's because people do business with people. And in the cannabis industry, especially if you are early and starting out, figure out your place, you might end up doing something different than you think today that you're doing. Again, you don't change. So people are going to want to work with you, and think about the trust that you're building with that person. That's something that's an advantage that you can bring down the line. And a lot of that comes down to not the company you're working with, the brand you represent, but who you are as a person, right? People want to work with people they like, and the more business I do, the more I'm realizing how true that is. And again, I'm going to say it again, building trust and authority takes time. From my angle, which is search engine optimization, digital marketing, these are becoming two inseparable things as search engines work to make sure that the most credible information is being delivered to people when they look up a brand review. Like when Natalie can't get to the dispensary and ask about products, she's going to look up a brand and she's going to want to know reviews. How does it feel? And they want to get that information from a trusted source. Can you or your company be that trusted source, right? So this is all this is a movement from the search engine optimization perspective that's been really pushed in the last year or so. There's been a lot of nerd stuff going on that has been affecting this. And again, your ideas may evolve, but you're still you. And how do you do this? First thing, think about sharing content. Think about what you can say that could contribute to the conversation. Think about contributing to the conversation, not just necessarily bouncing off of other things or kind of sharing the obvious, but think about what value you bring to the table and how you can be sharing that. Participating at events like this one is huge. Again, cannabis is a very in-person, community-centric industry, and if you're in the room a bunch of times, people are going to remember your face, right? They might not, and then that starts that conversation. It's just like, oh, I know this person's been here from the beginning. And if you want to take it a step further, that's when you start platforming. We'll talk about LinkedIn in a second, but speaking at conferences, delivering a webinar maybe, this is a newsletter you want to start, maybe you want to start or be on a podcast. These are ways that you can take your personal brand out there and start marketing you yourself as the expert. I'm the beverages expert, I'm the compliance expert, I'm the tech stack expert. I'm the person that you come to when you have questions and you understand and you respect, to quote Cartman from South Park, respect my authority, and that's how you kind of move on that way. The key elements of this are going beyond the logo, and that's something that we're both going to emphasize over the next 10-15 minutes. Your visuals go beyond just that Nike swoosh. It's colors, it's your fonts, it's your brand personality and style. There's even patterns that are associated with your brand. Even the vibe of the photo and video you're taking all plays into that message that you yourself want to carry out about you and your company or your brand. So if someone says make a logo for you, you got to go further than that. Think about, this is my favorite example. Think about T-Mobile's bright magenta pink, a color so vibrant that they tried to trademark it. Didn't work, but they tried. And you don't have to know T-Mobile. You're not thinking, no one in this room is thinking constantly about the brand messaging coming to them all the time, but you knew subconsciously, oh yeah, that's the T-Mobile pink. And you just kind of move on with your day. But all of these things add up to start associating you with that and your company and your brand with that particular thing. This comes down to messaging as well. Your mission, vision, going back to Laura's example, why are you existing, who are you serving, and the word choices that you're making in order to communicate that, all as a part of this as well. And we want to emphasize these points because they're all a part of consistency. Consistency builds trust, because if someone sees different pieces of your brand in different places, they start putting the pieces together. Oh, this comes from X company, or this comes from Y company. They saw your post on Instagram, or they saw your booth at the expo, or they saw your headshot on LinkedIn, right? Like, these are things that add up over time. Again, time is the word I'm going to say a lot here. No one goes viral overnight, or people do go viral overnight. We don't all have the privilege of doing that, and we want to make sure that all these elements are coming together to help communicate that trust. So I'm going to show you an example from Laura of how this works in practicality. This is one brand, but you see the vibe fits with all of this, right? There's colors that make sense with the brand and the logo, right? We talk about the brand personality. Even the Instagram photos, like have a personality to them. They look like they belong to the brand. And these are all elements that you want to think about. We're getting a little into the weeds, but it's important elements to think about, because if someone is not necessarily considering their branding at this time, it's really easy to just have to like get up and quickly run and rush. That's something that's a practical digital marketing issue also, that we definitely want to, try to avoid if you're at this time. So before you leave this room, I want to give everybody a little homework before they start thinking about it. Start following brands, creators, companies, people that you think are interesting. You don't have to know why they're interesting yet, but start looking at what they're doing, how they're talking, how they're presenting themselves, and then you're eventually going to take that to a design team, whoever you're working with, to say, hey, this is the vibe that I'm feeling, this is why I like it. Once you start taking it to that next level, you'll start seeing a pattern, right? Once you start pulling like, oh, these 10 brands or these like 12 people, whatever that looks like, you'll go back and you will notice a pattern of, oh, they all have a certain color, they all have a script font, or whatever this specific looks like. You'll notice these commonalities, and these are the things that you want to be paying attention to as you start, because one of the hardest obstacles for people is to express how they want either their personal brands or their company brand to appear, and this is sort of like our job to work through and help you work with that. But you have to be able to express it. So getting inspiration from other places, and even if you really want to take it to the next level, or if you're DIYing this, you want to think about more advanced like psychology and design topics. So like color theory is the example I'm going to use here, which basically associates different brand values or just values in general, different colors. Like for example, blue historically is associated with trust, purple is historically associated with royalty. So those are things that if you want to be like a higher end brand, maybe there's some purple in there, right? Or maybe if you want to come off as your luxe brand, maybe you're always wearing like a purple scarf or something, right? So these are things that you might want to think about. It's a little technical, but all these little pieces add up. Go shopping, the fun part. So you want to see what other people are doing in the market and what can you do better, or what can you do differently. There's a reason that certain things are standard, and if you're seeing that a lot of repeat work or repeat appearances, there's a reason for that, and that's something you might want to you might want to not imitate, but take some cues from. Emulate's the word I'm looking for. I am looking at the clock and realizing I am running a little short. Jot down these ideas, and you don't have to think inside of cannabis when you're looking for inspiration. This is important. You can look outside the industry. Brand support really comes from everywhere, and we encourage you to look outside of the box of joints.
And a couple other points of like, look at your worthy rivals. I know we can call them competitors, but we're all in this space to do good, and so there's so many subtle things that we can do between each other. So I consider everybody to be a worthy rival. What can you look at them, what they're doing well, and then how can you amplify it or do something a little bit different? And you'll also see with colors that sometimes you go down a row and everything is green and blue. And so also look at the opportunity to do something a little bit different. So if you have a color that stands out, that's gonna also, again, help you stand out. So as we start getting into all the things that you have to build, again, this is kind of a smaller list, but oftentimes we get so pressured into thinking that we have to be everywhere and be everything for everyone, kind of that spray and pray effect. And really it's less but better. So as much as we are cramming down your throat in 30 minutes, we want you to know that just start, and there's a couple of things that you can do. So whoever has been on social media here, you've probably realized it's really hard to market yourself on social media. And so there's kind of two buckets. There's shared media and owned media. Owned media just means that cannot be taken away from you. And those are where you should be focusing your efforts. So on that side, we have the website, which is everything should always be directing back to your website, your hub. That's what you own. That's where you get to make your biggest presence in this industry. And back to Natalie's example, that's where she is going to find out if she is going to even give you her business or not. So you need to make sure that you are developing educational content, and you will hear everybody stress content, educational content, because there's so much information that people are craving out there. Why not have that on your website? Why not help them understand what the endocannabinoid system is and the different cannabinoids and just how it can work for different intentions? There's so much that you can do, which is good for SEO. Events and activations, again, people do business with those that they like and trust. So getting out there and being able to have those one-on-one conversations, it's so much in that trust building process. It's so important. It takes time. All of this takes time. There's no fast track to any of this. SEO, just again with Natalie, doing home delivery or those homebound patients, those are all great SEO terms that you should be building into your phrasing and your content on your website. So you're getting some of that organic SEO traffic. Podcasts, webinars, again, that should all be housed on your website. So when people are going to your website, they're seeing you as a credible authority in the space. And then email list. So this is kind of good for multiple reasons. One is they can't take your email list away from you. So it's good to have that on your website to capture that. But even if you are validating a current product or service that you want to provide, this is an opportunity to gauge what the interest is, to validate that theory before you even put a bunch of time and energy into it. So even if you create a landing page, start capturing the email addresses of those that might be interested in it. You can start asking them questions as to like, how much would you pay for home delivery? What would you like in a home delivery service? What would you not like? And that helps you, again, to understand that Natalie persona a little bit better so that you are creating the right services and products for that person. Shared media can be taken down. I'm sure if you have not yet, you may be, it's a matter of when. You'll be shadow banned on social media. They're just not always our friend, but you have to be up there. It's one of those just necessary evils. But again, choose. So find out where Natalie is before you're choosing the platforms that you're going to be on. I know we're right on time, so we'll go back. So essentials. Go ahead.
I'll run through this quick. Feel free to take some pictures. So what can you be doing now? Once you have your name down, I didn't put this here, but please talk to a IP attorney. You don't want to find out after you put all this effort in that somebody else has your brand name and you can't use it anymore, or God forbid you get sued. You don't want to find this out. Get everything cleared by an intellectual property attorney sooner than later. That's probably my first step. Simple things you can do is you want to make sure that you have your own properties on these, you want to have these properties so no one else can take them, right? So once you have the name, buy the domain. Domains are cheap. We're talking like a few bucks a year. Own it so nobody else can take it. Same with social media handles, even if you're not doing anything else yet. Once you start building your website, which is something we recommend doing early, because this is very relevant to Minnesota, because a lot of folks in here in this room are going to have first mover advantage. And what that means is you're gonna have time over people who are gonna open 6 months, 12 months after you. And that makes a huge difference in the eyes of the consumer because you were there first. I've seen this time and time again with our clients in New York and New Jersey. And it's something that is easy to replicate here. And that, SEO goes hand in hand with that. Your email list goes hand in that, because even if you are starting that education early before you're even open, starting that content, running some ads maybe, and getting those email lists populated, you know what? You have a list of 1,000 people who are going to get an email when you're opening, right? And we can't guarantee an opening date when you first get your license. We all know how that works, but you're going to have the tools in your hands to be able to do this. You want to think about your tech stack, meaning what tech platforms are you going to use to help reach the most people when the time comes. So there's email and text message marketing, very important for retention, meaning people who have come to your store already and you want them to come back and keep buying. So not every non-cannabis branded email marketing platform is friendly. There are a few that are. Klaviyo is one of them. There are specific loyalty email text message marketing platforms in the industry. Things like Alpine IQ are an example. If you're a retailer, a menu provider, they are not all created equal, so just keep that in mind. There are those that are more friendly for search engine optimization, and some really, really cool tools coming out that are going to be able to bring optimization more to the masses here. So that's something you want to look at. What's your point of sale system going to be as well? Because that has to work with your website, because people need to Natalie needs to find the product she wants to buy. Maybe she wants to read a review of the product she wants to buy. That all goes back to your website. And I can't stress this enough, get your data organization right. Once your business gets off the ground, it is going to be much harder for you to go back and fix things. So if you have your CRM together, if you have your relationship management platform, so like the place where all the data lives, if that is working correctly from the beginning, strong foundations are important. The website, why people are coming to the website, getting your organization right, how are you going to be reaching these folks is really relevant to get up, and I'm going to pass off to Laura for the last minute.
And we have overwhelmed you with so many wonderful things here. Just to add on to that, we've got the 5 P's of marketing. We are out of time, but just when it comes to branding, the next step is marketing, which is getting that message out there. So the 5 P's of marketing is what us nerds like to use. And so that's just knowing your people, product, pricing, place, and promotion, which we did talk a lot about in building that brand foundation, which is great because now you've done all the work. You can start building out that really great marketing plan. And here's just a rough timeline. Again, we're not trying to stress you out that you have to do all of this perfectly. It's just starting, and again, less but better. So here's the general time frame of starting to work through all of those things in a comfortable place. And then just a reminder, branding starts now. Focus on your why, because you probably get that question all the time as well. Like, why are you in this space? So know it when somebody asks you. Website, start small, take action today. You've got this. Like, we're here for you if you need any help. Here's our information to take a Snapchat of, and please reach out.
Yep, we're gonna hang out. We're not gonna take Q&A from here, but we're gonna hang out and welcome to come up and ask us some questions. We'll be here for a bit. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I skipped past it. I was going live. Oh, I didn't want to get it. Nope, you're good. Oh, here it is. Do you have yours? Okay.
Exactly what we're on.
Good. Did I sound like not a moron? No, you don't. Yeah. Great job. That's great. Somewhere. Yeah, because they're gonna get. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is which?
Yes, it is. Thanks, Stella.
I wanted to make